Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel-toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
What's going on, guys?
What's up? What's up, everybody? Little fallish garden report. Although it was like 80 degrees today.
We're gonna sneak in a garden report. No one's gonna watch, but you might catch it on.
No one's gonna. Yeah, it's a good repeat watch if you're not watching it live. I would say, it's like something to tune into on a Friday. Tomorrow, it's like, you know what? Tomorrow kind of sucks. It's Friday. It's beautiful out, but like people are back to work. No one's leaving tonight to go to the Cape or whatever. So you're sitting in the office. You're looking out the window. It's sunny out. You need to kill like an hour. Help us help you. Just let it rip. Let it rip. Let the boss pay for this next hour. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that. I see some of you guys are here. Look, it's going to be slow going. I get it. We got Thursday night football. There's not a ton going on here. But we are remarkably close to actual basketball. Like way closer than
How many?
I'm ready for.
12 days till camp.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's begins media day on the 24th.
Wow.
They're practicing on the 25th. Do the math, Jimmy. It's the 12th today.
I can't.
13 days.
We're gonna need like a promo code for me to understand this one.
Yeah.
But no.
13
I believe
days.
Bobby. 13 days. It'll happen fast.
And then Bobby is off and running. Bobby and Noah doing stuff. Doing stuff at training camp and covering the team, and then we get to hear from Joe all the time. One of the cool things, and we're gonna do a few things. Why are we doing this show? Because we miss each other and we miss you guys. We also have
because of friendship
a ridiculous amount of sponsors. We've got Nutrafol.
Yeah, we do.
For your hair, get after it. Nutrafol.com. Use that code GARDEN, $10 off.
Take that hat off, John.
Your first month subscription and free shipping. We've got HelloFresh, .com/free garden. One free appetizer item per box while your subscription is active. Prize Picks, forget about it. Sign up. #1 daily fantasy sports app. New users play
Football's
5,
back.
get 50 instantly. Use that code CLNS and Game Time. Yeah. Get in on it. Patriots home. There's tickets still to be had.
Prices are going up, I bet, after the last week's
win. They might be. I told everybody last week, sweep them up. Game Time app, code CLNS, 20% off. But
although there's actually a better game this weekend.
$20 off. Sorry, yep.
Yeah, it's a better game this weekend. I think it's like, what is it? Bengals. What's the game? Bengals Chiefs this weekend?
Chiefs, that's their feature game.
That's the game everyone's going to be eyeing. A lot of stars in that game, and the Bengals need to win. They can't start the year 0-2. The natives Trags will be huffing and puffing all the way around Cincinnati if they go 0-2.
Yeah,
I know that.
They're probably gonna.
Probably.
We'll see. So we got a lot, but as we said, we've got the Celtics and training camp begins, and I'm not ready for all of it. I'm not ready for the full ramp up here, but it's happening. It's a little earlier than normal because the team's going to head off to Abu Dhabi and do some,
casual
stuff out there, trip out there, and they're going to, take on the Nuggets, and that'll be a ton of fun. But we do get to see the team coming up in less than 2 weeks, and that's going to be fun.
Big money out there to talk about.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
Money.
We've also got, the guys are starting to kind of, they're popping around. You've got Jason Tatum's media tour. We're going to get into that a little bit. But we're going to start out with Joe Mazzulla making the rounds. Jumped on recently, did an interview with the inimitable John Corrales over on Locked On. You could tell Joe likes John.
I'm going to Google that.
Does. He used to like Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. What did you do? What did you say?
I don't know.
Bobby got
something Bobby about his face.
No, we infected Bobby, and he got too garden reporty with his questions, and that was it.
Yeah, it's called the Zannis effect, Bobby. Many people have
You got Zannis.
many people have been hit by it, never to be seen again on the beat. So be very careful. Be very
Just
careful.
ask him. Just ask him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But among the things that they talked about, and I'll tell you this, I'm going to play one bite, and this is the one that got the headlines. I want everybody's reaction to it. But what's the big question? Repeating is hard. And can they get it? Can they focus it? Are they going to, kind of pull it together
Very bright right now.
and get there? And it's hard to do. Teams haven't done it. Not only have teams not repeated, teams have not done well at all in their next season. It's not like I got there, recently. You're talking about early exits and not getting to the finals again. And teams aren't quite, getting anywhere close to repeat. Will the Celtics? And you talked about the challenges of it and whether or not they have a target on their back. And here's Joe talking to John Corrales about that.
Looking forward to the challenge. I mean, I can't wait to see how hard it's going to be. I can't wait. Like, to me, that's like, I wish we started tomorrow. Like, that's as easy as an answer as I can give you. Like, I hope it's even 10 times harder than it was last year. I really hope it is. And my favorite moment from last year, I think, was watching the guys fully commit to each other and to the unique process of winning. And, I always say this, and I hope out of this conversation, this gets picked up the most, is the greatest gift you can get in the NBA is the players that you have. And, we have the highest character guys and we have some of the best players, but, they dictate the temperature and the environment of the organization and the building on a daily basis. And, it's our job as a staff and a front office to just facilitate small areas of growth and manage the areas of growth and adversity. But I got the greatest gift that any coach could have, and it's organizational alignment, and it's the type of players that we have. So that was my highlight. And again, people are going to say the target's on our back, but I hope it's right in our forehead and between our eyes. I hope I can see the red dot.
My lights just went out.
John, you muted.
John's mic went out. My lights went out.
Joe's talking about the red dot, like the sniper rifle, right between your eyes here, which again, I mean, just kind of stays with his whole psychotic, vibe. But I love this soundbite. I love it because if the question last year was Joe too big a maniac and like too amped up and too Joe to be able to kind of shepherd this team and kind of ride the waves and get them through, like, I think you need Joe times 100 this year to keep them focused again, right? Like, I think you need Joe's crazy intensity and nothing is good enough. And this whole, like, it's got to be hard. It has to feel harder because you have to convince yourself mentally that it's really, really, really hard to repeat.
Yeah, and he must know that from conversations he's had or things he's looked into about the other teams they've repeated. I know Wayne Spooney over there at Celtics Blog told a good story. He was at a conference that Joe was doing at West Virginia, whatever, and he was saying he was studying Joe was the teams that try to repeat and ended up losing early. And like you said, they haven't done it in a long time, John. And it seems like Joe seems to know that most of it's mental. Brad actually went back to his comments around the draft time, and he said something very similar. The target, human nature, all those things are real, but we also have to say sometimes you need a jolt from within. We have the opportunity to tweak our team all the way up until February. We'd be crazy to not to say the character and the foundation of the team, to not say the character and foundation of the team is right. Let's see if we can be as consistent as we can, grow, develop, get better, improve. So a lot of that in this interview, a lot of that from Brad. I think Brad told the Globe at one point, it's going to be much harder this year. We got to be ready for that. And I think a lot of that goes back to the leagues coming at them. Again, the red dot thing Joe says there, but also the hangover effect. And we've debated a little bit in the last couple of shows here, which one of those is greater? Is there a threat from outside that worries you, or is it just going to be on them to stay focused and do exactly what they did last year? And that seems to be what they're focused on. And a lot of it is the consistency, right, Jimmy? But some of it's them needing some new faces on the court, some new schemes. I know Joe talked about that a little bit here too. Try some new things, keep things interesting. Because it is going to be a slog getting through this regular season, especially without Porzingis. I keep hammering that point. That's a big deal that they're not going to have him for 30, 40 games or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, the Porzingis stuff goes without saying. It'll be tough for sure. We probably aren't thinking about that enough. I love the Joe quote, John, too. We're going to get like the most Joe ever because he won. So like he has that in his back pocket, that everything he said and believed in ultimately won out and came true. So why would he change? He's just going to double down on everything and just be even more Joe. He's got the championship to back it up now. You know, he's got a little more of a swagger probably to his already craziness. So I like the quote. I would love the players to have that attitude too. I don't know what it's going to take for Jason Tatum to feel that way. Probably nothing, just based on the type of person Tatum is. But Jaylen Brown, those guys, Drew Holiday, they've got a little mean streak in them, I think, for sure. Derek White's a little bit more cool, calm, and collected. But this team is going to have to find motivation, Bobby. You're right. They're going to have to find it within themselves. They're going to have to create false narratives about doubt and all the things that they've done over the years in order to fire themselves up. Because I do think they're the best team in the league, and I do think that it's obviously cliche, but the only team that can beat them is them. But that's just, a talent. Health staying on the good side, and Porzingis being able to come back and stay healthy and play through the playoffs is ultimately the difference maker for any team is health. But if they can stay healthy, I like their chances. They're not going to end up with a 14-game lead, going into the playoffs because of the Porzingis factor. And I think they probably know that they don't need to, right? It'll be a little bit harder during the regular season. Some teams have improved in the East. I think people think the Knicks are going to be more of a problem this year. In fact, Tatum even said that a little bit that we'll get into it later, but the Jimmy Fallon interview, they asked him more or less wins for the Knicks. He said more. Probably had to say that, but
some of those questions really caught him off. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of staring off into the abyss for a few of those questions. John shaking his head. We can't hear you. You're muted. John, you're muted.
All I have to say is fucking electric. Like just everything Tatum does, just watching him. He's just
electric. That's the word.
Electric.
Yeah, definitely.
That guy's just so entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely an interview about a children's book for sure. It's almost
a good point, Jimmy. They don't have to win by 15 games this year. I also don't think that they're going to go 31-6. I know someone in the chat just said they were 31-6 without Porzingis this year. That's going to be tough to repeat. I wrote about that today.
That's what I think,
know.
Bobby. People got to toss this a little bit. Like, yeah. I think we're spending a lot of time. Take the victory lap over the win.
Back.
Okay, take the victory lap over the win. Say, as Jimmy says, bye to the haters, hi to the haters. Anybody who wants to say it was easy and this and that. They killed everybody, start to finish, stomped them throughout the regular season, and absolutely dominated in the playoffs. I don't care. It is so much harder to come back and do it again. So it doesn't matter that they went 31 and whatever without Porzingis and the 16-3 in the playoffs, basically without him again. It's different. It's different. It's a totally new vibe. I think people have to understand that. Doesn't mean they can still come out again. There's so many good comparisons as 2008 Celtics in terms of bringing together superstars, having people, sacrifice some, in terms of what they do individually for the greater good. And if you want to look back at those guys and you want to say like, yeah, we're like those guys. We did what those guys did. Those guys came back even better in 2009. If KG doesn't get injured, they win that title easily.
I can't talk about it.
I know that.
Well, it's exactly where you stand now, except the Porzingis
that
injury.
2009 team was better. I mean, they were better. They were unbelievable. And they were killing people. So they may it could go two ways, right? They can get a little like, well, we're good, right? And then, coast through some things and suffer some annoying losses and we'll be ripping our hair out and they'll be, giving, we got to do this and flip the switch quotes, or they're going to be empowered and charged up by we killed these dudes, and we're going to come back and do it again in a sense of purpose and focus and stop people. So I am curious, but it's not automatic just because they're good. It's different. It's different.
No, because so much what they did last year, Jimmy, it was the talent, right? But it was also
Like
the
it could
attention
be
to
better.
detail. Yeah, making right decisions, everybody playing their role perfectly and committing to a role. I think all that's going to be important. And the fact that you're bringing back 13 guys helps. Everybody knows what they need to do. It's almost better than 09 because the Celtics lost a couple pieces coming out of 08. This team has all their
They
depth,
lost
all
a
their
lot,
backups.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
They lost like their whole reserves and everything.
We questioned them all last year, right? What about this? Oh, this could go wrong. Past versions of themselves popping up, and none of that stuff ended up happening. They were just as dominant as they looked all year. So part of me, as much as I want to scrutinize this and look at it and see what could go wrong here, that 27-3 thing that the 09 team did is certainly in play here if they all come back and do what they need to do. Now, on the Porzingis point, that one worries me just because I think what got you by last year, and obviously most of those games were in the playoffs, right? He missed like the whole postseason. Horford's playing, 30, 40 minutes at that point to make up for that anyway. During the regular season, you played him 30 minutes a game last year to get by without Porzingis. It was those back-to-back situations a lot of the time. Maybe Porzingis would miss 4 or 5 games here or there. So what you do is ramp up Horford to get by in those situations. This year, you probably don't want to do that. I think there's 3 back-to-backs during that opening stretch where he's going to be out, maybe 5 if it goes the distance of the full prognosis. So those are nights where you don't have Horford, and it's just Kornet and Tillman and Kata. You won games with those guys last year too, so maybe you'll be fine here.
Drink.
But I think
Said Kornet.
the biggest difference and the biggest challenge this year is managing things, managing Horford, managing Jalen and Jason, while also trying to have that urgency, John, to win every game you can in the regular season. I think that's going to be a balance for Joe, right? Because he's the kind of coach, I think, even after a championship, who's going to be like, we got to win, we got to win, we got to win. And it does have to be a little bit, I think, Jimmy, of managing, especially with Horford. They can't play Horford 35 minutes every game because Porzingis is out. That's just not an option. Oh, you muted, Jimmy.
It's not. You mentioned the reserves already. You mentioned Kornet. You mentioned Kata. Those guys coming off. They're going to have to be ready to play, and I'm sure that's going to be very clear to them. And it's exciting for those guys. They have a role on this team, a championship team coming into the year because of the Bigs situation. I'm hopeful that it won't be too glaring of an issue. I do think that it is their weak spot, and I think teams are going to try to attack them if that means being aggressive down low. The Celtics perimeter defense is tops in the NBA as far as I'm concerned. They have the ability to be. You have the best defensive backcourt in the NBA in Holiday and White. And when Brown and Tatum want to, they can be 2 of the best defensive players at their positions too on any given night, making them 2 of the best two-way players in the NBA as well. So, excuse me. The Celtics as a unit, as a returning unit, are so strong on both ends. It's just going to come down to, are they willing to do it on those nights where it's a Tuesday in Charlotte? You know what I mean?
They got one of those early.
Yeah, it's just that. I mean, we're going to talk about it all year, and it's going to be hard because we're going to always have the same, discussion of whether or not it matters, right? Can they flip the switch? Should they have given Tatum a night off or Brown a night off and all this stuff? And at the end of the day, it's the NBA, and everybody knows it comes down to just getting to the playoffs healthy. The Celtics were able to do that last year. They lost Porzingis, granted, during the playoffs, but they were able to get there in one piece. And
is that the most important thing?
It is. Yeah, it is the most important thing. I mean, and you obviously, any freak injury can happen, but having guys ready for the playoffs is what's important. So to your point, Bobby, yeah, Al Horford isn't going to play 35, 38 minutes a game. We already know that he's not going to play back-to-backs. There's probably going to be some stretches where they give him an extra night. And, those other who am I missing? Not Kata.
Kata, Tillman, and Kornet.
Tillman.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to have an increased role. They're not going to be asked to do a lot defensively. And that could be another big question are Tatum and Brown and Holiday and White, those guys, are they going to be able to take it up a notch offensively? I'm sure they're going to welcome the opportunity. to focus more on the offensive side of things, because those bigs, those guys coming in at the 5 spot, I mean, they really don't need to take a shot outside the cylinder as far as I'm concerned. Tillman, we know, can stretch it a little bit, and he's athletic enough. But Cada, Kornet used to be. I don't know what changed with Kornet's role. He obviously used to be a bit of a unicorn in his own right over in New York, right? But maybe that's
Josh Hart had that funny tweet. Yeah,
that was funny, and maybe that's something he's working on, knowing that maybe he's going to have an expanded role. And he's going to be asked to do that. No idea.
Could be interesting. I think the understanding is it's probably going to be Kornet backing up Horford most nights. They'll probably play a little double big with those guys too and mix in Tillman at that point. So those guys are good enough to get by. I was looking at the numbers. Kornet was really good when Porzingis was down last year. And then they went 4-0 when Horford and Porzingis were out. So Kornet had some good games in those situations and was pretty good all last year. There's matchup issues with him that you'll run into, but that's why keeping Tillman was so important. This is a big year for Tillman, obviously. I don't think it went great, at least offensively for him last year. I don't know exactly where he fits in on that end. That's going to be the challenge. You go smaller here. I think losing Brissett hurts you in that capacity. So things are a little different here in terms of how they line up. And you are one injury away from being in a little bit of a trouble depth-wise, given that Porzingis is going to be out for the stretch anyway. So, again, health, Jimmy, so important. But the big thing is if everybody is in place, John, I know you talk about this a little bit, they have to try some of these guys. Getting Tillman acclimated and up to speed this time around. Cada's got to play, and I think they want Cada to play.
Yeah, thank you, Kev.
Springer's got to play even. Could you go small with Springer?
Thank you for the super chat here. Yeah, look, I think you do have to play these guys, and I do think you have to look at, like, you know, not really obsess over wins and losses in the first 20 to 30 games. Recognize that you're going to win still a lot of games just based on talent, and just play more people and rotate them in. I think it'd be a mistake not to. And I think we will talk about that in terms of like who can kind of take that. Like last year, you had those open auditions, right? For like, you know, the 10th, let's say the 9th or 10th man spot. And you're looking at Banton and you're looking at Brissett. It seems like a zillion years ago. Who the hell was Stevens?
Omar Stevens.
Yeah. And it's like, nobody took it. You know, you're going to kind of have the same thing again this year, but it's really hard when you can only play one of them at a time sporadically, you know? So if you don't play these guys, you're going to be in the same position where you're going to have no clue who can do what and what they can do. You know, because there's a few candidates there for minutes potentially. Like, could Springer make a leap? Could Cada make a leap? You know, Shireman, you know, for sure. Lonnie friggin' Walker, is he going to get cut, or is he going to be like a solid rotation player? Again, we don't really know. So we'll talk about a lot of that stuff. We'll hear a little bit more from Joe Mazzulla. We're going to just take a quick pause. We'll tell you about our buddies over at Prize Picks. And yeah, we're jamming right now with the Prize Picks stuff because it's football season. Yeah.
The guy in the middle.
Daily fantasy sports app, 5 million active members, easy, exciting way, play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, more or less 2 to 6 player projection stats. Watch the winnings roll in. That's all you got to do. They're running back that Caleb Williams thing. 1 passing yard is a freebie square. So you want to get in on that.
That one ended up being a little dicey.
You know, but again, you got a lot of different things you can get in on the action here with Prize Picks. It's a ton of fun. And you know, follow along with all of us here at CLNS Media as we make our picks. I'll make my picks later in the week, but all of our guys on their football shows as well. And the important thing is play 5, get 50 instantly when you sign up, but you got to use that code CLNS. All you have to do is download the app, use the code CLNS, play 5, get 50 instantly. Download that Prize Picks app today. And yeah, let's get in on some game time action, right?
There it is.
Who likes game time? Yeah.
Love game time. Absolutely.
I love game time.
Love it.
Also,
I've used it all summer.
I've used it more than a few times. Whoops. Something's going on here.
Yeah. Who's messing with my stuff?
I'm not. My hands are right here.
Huh?
I'm not touching a thing. Here are my hands.
There's my game time. Where is it? There's game time. This is cool because what do we got? We got the Pats this week. And like as we said, that ticket, it was reasonable.
It's going to be, listen, it's going to be a beautiful day on Sunday. It's going to be a great day for football. And get on Game Time, save $20, get yourself a couple of beers, or at least one with that money, or get yourself a popcorn or a hot dog, whatever it is that you like to enjoy the game a little bit more. Do that. Help us help you guys. It's going to be an awesome day for football. Don't get so caught up in who wins the game. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but I can say that I would say this. The Pats at least, like last week, gives you at least a little bit of hope that they can at least make it interesting.
It was a fun day.
Maybe not interesting, but they could.
Bobby had the time of his life.
Bobby said it was a top 5. I think he said it was.
The bar was on the ground. And
Bobby had the time of his life. I mean, you couldn't be happier.
Loves that ground and pound.
But here's what we're looking at here, guys.
Wow. Okay, so there's availability.
Yeah,
there's definitely
you can get that upper deck up there on the top side for 100. It looks like a little bit over 100.
Up there.
Damn, they're really still over 100, huh?
Yeah, but still, you can get in there. You can check it out.
But that's the beauty of Game Time.
These are good seats at reasonable prices here at Game Time.
Right, you're way up front for 200, 300.
Yeah. Download it. Yeah, download it. Use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply.
Go hang out at Patriot Place. Wait for
do the Jimmy
to drop. You can even watch the first quarter across the street at Patriot Place at wherever, and you can stroll on in there. You know, Pats might be up 7-0 by that time. Who knows?
Yeah. So check it out. Download that app. $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Back to what we were talking about here, and again, headed into training camp, which begins on the 25th, and we've got some questions. Heading into camp, and we'll ask some questions here. And among them is the complacency factor. Is there a fear with you guys here? And Joe talked about it. We're piggybacking off of Joe's comment on the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales that we played earlier here. Where's your concern level on them being too cool for school a little bit?
Me or Bobby?
I don't care.
I think it's there. It's going to be there on certain nights, and they have to counteract it. And one thing they did well last year that Joe talked about is when they were in those spots, getting out of them. You go down big to Detroit. Would they go down like 28 in that game? And then they turn around the second half and win. And they did stuff like that throughout. They had slip-up games. They turned around quickly after those. I think they never lost more than 3 games in a row last year. So that's exactly what you're looking for. You're going to have some shaky losses. You're going to have some games where no one plays, where you might lose. Those Milwaukee games you look at last year. So if that's all that happens here, that's fine. And say you drop from 1 to 2, as Jimmy said earlier, that's not a huge deal. If you're dropping to 3 or 4, you're going on a little bit more of an extended lull. Brown and Tatum specifically aren't playing the level of defense that you're looking for, which I think, as we've talked about in past shows this summer, is going to be crucial. Those guys need to set a tone on that end, but also set a tone with their decision-making and giving up the ball and getting guys involved and all that stuff. How much of that postseason, John, was those guys passing at a higher level than we've ever seen before? And that's going to be important. Yeah, because those guys are going to be the tone setters on both ends of the floor. And for everybody else, you're just mostly falling in line. Holiday, White, those guys got to hit shots. They will.
I think,
I'm not worried about the.
I think how do they avoid complacency? They have to realize that they still don't have any respect by anybody outside of Boston. I think if they realize that a lot of people around the league think, even though they dominated, right? For some reason, I've never seen it before, but it almost feels like these guys personally took bigger hits than before they won a title. I'm talking about Tatum specifically. It feels like he's more of a laugh around the league than he was before he won a title. So these guys need to realize that they actually do have to do it again, or when they don't, or if they don't, people are going to say, see, it was a fluke. See, they ended up playing a bunch of joke teams. Their run to the playoffs was the easiest run we could possibly imagine. Everybody was hurt. The Mavericks stunk. They shouldn't have been in the Western Conference. They shouldn't have been the team representing the West to begin with. On and on and on and on. So Celtics, I think, if they can understand that and realize that hey, you can rest on your laurels all you want, but nobody else really gives an F. That's one way to not remain complacent, because I'm telling you, it's just the truth.
And I like the version.
People in Celtics La La Land think that they're, you know, untouchable, the greatest team of all time, all this. And you know what? They have every right to feel that way if they want, but it's not reality. It's not what the rest of the league thinks. So if Celtics players, which I'm sure they are a little bit more in tune to what goes on than Celtics fans are, if they understand that, then I think they'll be a lot less complacent, knowing that they have to do it all over again.
Yeah, some people are thinking they got an easy route. Some people are thinking that they got the easy finals matchup, stuff like that.
So stupid. It's not that. Like, here's the thing, as I said, we can't undo what people
There are a lot
think.
of different things, yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The two things that people are carrying into this, the haters and the outside people,
which there are many.
Of which there are many, because everybody hates the Celtics, you know, unless you love the Celtics. They're the most popular team, but they're also one of the most hated teams. So the hate's going to be there, and just be prepared for it, guys. I'm going to prepare you right now for something that's going to really upset you. Top 100, a bunch of top 100 lists are going to come out, and Tatum's going to fall lower, way lower than you think he is, because perception around Tatum fell last year. Mm-hmm. And he's going to come in ranked lower than you think he should be, and you're going to lose your minds. And you're going to yell at me, and I'm not making the list. I'm just going to talk about it. But I'm
just know that John's extremely happy inside.
I'm only because I'm a merchant of chaos. It's not that I you know, like I care.
John's gonna be like this.
Yes.
We're gonna go live.
As
soon as the list comes out and Tatum's like 12th, John's gonna be like, guys, we're going live in 30 minutes. Emergency press conference.
But that's going to bother you, and then everything you hear on Twitter about Tatum and his bad shooting nights, and you know, and things like that. And then if they're not winning early, you're going to get all of that. It was easy. That's coming. You can't. The only way you undo that is by winning. Don't argue with people.
Kind of what I said. Yeah.
Don't yell at people. Don't defend. Don't say last year. Don't do that. You lose the argument. Be cool and chill and just wait it out, okay?
Yeah.
They want to rile you up. They want to rile you up, and that's what they're going to do.
Don't want the trolls get you, because they will. They always do.
Yeah. So I'll ask you. So we'll ask about it here. You know, coming into it, everyone's kind of convinced that there's going to be some motivation, because you know, in addition to the disrespect that Tatum got, you know, where people were kind of crapping on his finals performance and his postseason performance because he wasn't shooting great. You had, you know, it was a snubberific offseason for these guys. Jalen doesn't make the Olympic team. You know, Derek White does. And, you know, Jalen's like, what the F, you know, conspiracy. And then Tatum makes it and then gets benched. And so, again, they're riding surprisingly low considering how high they should be. Instead of a coronation of these two great young stars, there's a vibe of like, disrespect, not that good. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you've got one side that says, you know, they're going to come out and, you know, with a ton of revenge, you know, on their minds. And other wondering if that's going to kind of bother them, and they're going to, you know, they can't get it out of that. Again, Mazzulla was asked about Tatum and Brown and the kind of summers that they went through. Not much of an answer here, but listen from Joe.
Hope or know or project or think that both, you know, because I think Jalen and Jason both went through similar situations as far as having a goal and not achieving it. And I don't know how they processed it. I didn't really try to figure it out. I think watching both of those things kind of unfold more than anything else motivated me, of like, you know, our two guys, you know, whether they can control it or not, have gone through a little bit of a adverse situation, and I got to be better so I can help them be better. They're going to go about it the way that they're two, you know, competitors, and you know, they are who they are. They're two, you know, great players. So I'm not going to try to figure out how they're going to go about it. If they want to take revenge on that particular game, that's great for them. Like I said, my number one job is I got to grow as a coach. I got to get better so that I can get them better and help them get better and be a catalyst for growth. Revenge is healthy, and it's not at the same time. I think, you know, just like anything else, you can have a little bit of it, but I think it's a short-term thing. And, you know, when that runs out, what are you going to rely on? So I think there's short-term moments to use all different kinds of motivational tactics, but they can't be long-term solutions, you know? And the long-term solution is just growth. We just have to get better every single day. We got to grow individually. We got to grow as a team. And you bounce around those short-term motivational tactics that you may need from time to time. But the long-term approach is the growth and the handling of both success and failure. They're both dangerous if you don't handle them properly.
Takeaway?
Takeaway, very Joe answer. I mean, I would agree to some extent. Like the whole trying to use motivation from what people say about you negatively and whatnot. It's short term for sure. I mean, the only way that they're gonna continue to see their success is to play connected basketball the way they have been, the way they were last season. It all goes back to, are they going to play team first basketball, or are they going to say, okay, we got ours? And Tatum's hearing people or the experts criticize and say, oh, he can't shoot anymore, he can't score, he's not elite. Is he going to go out and make a point and say, watch me average 30 a game, whether we win or lose, I'm gonna average 30 a game, and if let the record be the record, and we'll turn it on in the playoffs? Is that how it's going to be? Or is he going to continue to sort of make some sacrifices here and there for the betterment of the team, only to see it kind of get tossed back in his face and, kind of twisted to make it seem like he can't play a different way?
Is he going to be able to let it go? Is he going to be able to not focus on people are saying like
right? I feel like he's doing it. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, maybe he cares, but he's still like being Jason Tatum.
And by the way, Joe absolutely wants revenge. He tempered his bite there, but he was like, revenge is a good thing, except when it's not. No, yeah. Joe's all about revenge, but yeah.
Joe has a list of names on his wall that he's just crossing off one by
It's
one.
just he adds way more than he crosses off.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait till he sees Royce O'Neal again.
Yeah, exactly.
Brown
stuff's interesting to me too, though.
Is it? Go ahead.
It's just interesting to me because Brown's always felt slighted, and maybe rightfully so in some cases. But he obviously got the bag. He was the highest paid player in the league. He was the arguably the best player in the playoff run. And I think there's obviously massive Jaylen Brown stands out there that will claim that he's a top 10 player and he's the best player on the team. But there's also a lot of people who feel like he's more of a 1A guy, no matter where he is. And he couldn't ever be the best player on a good team. And obviously USA snub. I just feel like Jaylen Brown was in like a dark room watching film and like lifting weights and swimming at the bottom. Recording songs. Hopefully he was shooting hoops too. That would be nice. But I'm interested to see how he responds this year. Yeah, definitely.
I feel good about him.
Dynamic between the two.
I feel good about him because I think he figured out what his role is last year. The attention to detail, play to play, game to game. Yeah, that's important. And then you could even extend that to season. He accomplished things he wanted to do last year. And now where's his focus level going into this year? Because there's still those things, right? The defensive attention to detail. If they're going to play a different style defensively, how's he going to adapt to that? I think that's something you got to consider with him. And then stuff like the free throws, that's an obvious point that he can improve on. Shocking free throw year for him last year, despite all the success he had in other areas. Tatum's the one who's in control, though, right? He's going to have the ball more often than not. He's going to be making decisions. He's going to have to decide what his shot profile is, because I think a lot of that's him feeling out the game. I don't think that's always Joe saying, shoot 53s tonight and all that. It's just Tatum figuring out where he needs to get to. And I like the point about whether he needs to prove that he's that scoring guy, Jimmy, again, because there's so much noise about that coming out of last season. There's so little, at least outside affirmation, about the style of play that he shifted toward during that postseason, because it wasn't the old Tatum, or it wasn't this guy who's scoring 30 plus every night, even though he did mix that in there. I've said it over and over again. He needs to play exactly the way he did last postseason, especially during the finals. Shot's not there, gets much more aggressive going to the rim, passes out of that again and again and again because there's so many extra bodies there. I know, John, you've wondered if teams will guard them differently. that'll be interesting to see because that'll force them to adjust again. So they just have to constantly be ready to adjust. And I know Joe always talks about that. So much of it is really just making the right play for these guys. And hopefully they're in that mindset now. Did something shift, John, where these guys are just new players after this? Are there always going to be those old Brown and Tatum moments? I think that's going to be one of the things we find out pretty quickly this year.
Look, right or wrong, and people can get mad about this. I'm not making a determination or a prediction on it.
We don't know yet.
One I'm concerned with. No, I'm telling you, the only one I'm concerned with is Tatum. Like a little bit, just a little. I don't think Brown's going to get complacent. I do think he'll use snubs for motivation. I think that's what he does. I have no concern about Holiday and White. I mean, again, the reason I thought, and I think a lot of people felt really good about their chances last year. I know, like the easy, lazy narrative is the development of the Jays, but it was really the grown-ups in the room that stabilized it all, and took you to a different level. And that's really what it was. They were professionals. They went about their business in a professional manner every single day. So on those, you just have guys that don't have there are teams that have ebbs and flows when it comes to focus, especially superstar teams. This team doesn't, and it didn't because both Tatum and Brown, of course, also took everything extremely seriously last year, but the other guys just didn't allow it. And I don't think they'll allow it again. So I'm not really worried about complacency there. I don't think you're going to have a lot of those press conferences where we got to this, we got to that. But it's not Tatum complacency as much. I'm a little worried because he's lost something and he's going to try to find it. And it's part of an identity and who he is and what he's supposed to be. He changed his style in the finals because he was getting doubled. He became more of a passer, but he hasn't been able to shoot, and he hasn't been able to shoot for a little while now. If you block off all of, especially from three. So he's got to get that. And then he's got to figure, like, am I that guy? Is this what I do? Like, what's my game again? It's weird to be so far along in his development and have all of the accolades that he have and have just won a title and have him kind of still questioning, what do I do here? And it's going to be a little weird for me, like a weird thing to watch. It may be seamless and he may go back to it and the shooting stuff is all a thing of the past and he's just the same version of the same guy he's always been. So I wouldn't say concerned. I'm just interested what happens with Tatum. I definitely am.
It's the biggest thing to watch. For sure,
yeah,
because
it's interesting to me. I'm curious. I'm really curious, because I think there's a lot of different outcomes. The most predictable one is he's pretty close to the same guy he's been, because I think he's been, consistently kind of the same player with a little more refinement over the last, year or two. But he's been kind of similar. And again, the shooting splits were solid for most of the regular season. It just kind of left him in the playoffs and then the Olympics there. So I just kind of want to see where he goes with it.
Yeah, and you've talked about how Brown always gets better.
I hope he can just compartmentalize it and just leave it. Just leave it. I mean, you have to leave last season where it is. You can't, I said earlier, you can't rest on your laurels, but at the same time, you can't also harp on something or like if you're a cornerback in the NFL and you give up a big 35-yard pass or whatever, you better get your ass up on the line and be ready for the next play. You can't sit there and sulk about it. You got to have a short memory, right? So if I'm Tatum, it's all about confidence, really. I mean, he has to be confident in his ability to be one of the better shooters. Improve that outside shot again. Get it back to where it was. Be aggressive, drive. When he is playing aggressive, he's hard to stop. It's when he gets kind of complacent and into that step back shot mode that makes John lose his hair. That's when, he kind of falls into those bad habits again. But the other stuff's going to still be there. He's still going to rebound well. He's still going to pass well. He's, by all accounts, a great guy, right? So, I mean, that's got to count for something. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
And he plays every game.
He plays all the time. He's not the type of player who you're worried about who's going to have his focus, somewhere else, or he's not going to show up to play. There's a lot of great things about Jason Tatum that I wouldn't expect non-Celtics fans to ever know or admit to, even if they saw it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what are you going to do on the court. And if everyone's expecting him to shoot the ball a certain way, or the way that they've seen in the past, then that's something that is on him to get back to where it needs to be. It has nothing to do with the Olympics. Let's forget about the Olympics. The Olympics are like a fun, they're supposed to be like a fun thing and a thing to take pride in as a team to do. And yeah, Curry had an unbelievable, unforgettable Olympic run. I would say LeBron did. And that will be a part of their legacy. The Olympics will not be a part of Jason Tatum's legacy, at least not that one. No one's going to talk about it.
He's got 2 gold medals.
Exactly. That's what will go on the plaque someday, is that he's a 2-time, gold medal, whatever you call it, Team USA. It's not going to be that, he forgot how to shoot the ball or didn't get any playing time, or Steve Kerr screwed with his head. F Steve Kerr, by the way. I'm sick of that guy. But that's just besides the point. But yeah, I'm hoping that Tatum can block out the noise, just play his game, and until he, I have no reason to believe he won't until I see it. So
we'll continue this conversation. Take a quick pause. I want to tell you again, our cup runneth over in this off season here with sponsors, and we are talking about
too. Where are these guys during the season?
I know. We try to tell them like we've got this, but they're going to hang with us through the season too.
All right,
here, but Nutrafol, we've told you all about that here, and if you've got issues with hair thinning or shedding, Nutrafol's got a very proactive approach. It targets root causes, and you can get after that, a clinically tested formula that is going to help you with those issues. And we have, did you guys take it? I took it.
Yeah,
I got some. I don't know if you guys got some. I got some.
Yeah, no, I'll start dabbling in it. I can't say that I've
for men of a certain age, really doesn't matter what age. Again, it's you're getting here. You want to take care of yourself. Right? You want to look good, and you want to get after it here. It's a #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand. #1, trusted by over 1 million people. Thicker, stronger, faster growing hair, less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. Get results you can run your fingers through. Limited time, Nutrafol's offering listeners $10 off for a subscription, free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com. Enter the promo code GARDEN. It's all you have to do. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. That's once again Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo GARDEN. Once again, Nutrafol.com, promo GARDEN. And while we're at it, we're also going to, what's that?
Love it. Don't wait until it's too late.
Yeah. Don't wait until it's too late. We got to talk about, and the last thing I want to talk about is Rocket Money.
Okay.
I love Rocket Money.
You do love Rocket Money.
I do love Rocket Money because I am the worst when it comes to this stuff. And again, it's finding subscriptions you forgot about. And I'm not going to name which ones, but boy, has this thing saved me a bunch of bucks. It's a personal finance app, helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Trust me, you got a lot of stuff out there you know nothing about. Over 5 million users here using Rocket Money. They've saved a total of $500 million for their customers and canceled subscriptions. It's insane. $500 million, saving members up to $740 a year. And again, we've said this before, and these figures are astonishing to me. Most people think they spend $50-$60 a year on subscriptions, and the average is about $300. And if you're like addicted to content like I am, it's probably like, I don't even want to talk about it. It's insane.
John ran the numbers and he just shot back.
That's my vice, but I don't.
John is a serial subscriber.
I'm a serial subscriber. I can't get enough of it.
But so even if you're not, there might just be one thing that surprises you.
Exactly. So check it out. It did.
John's like, it's only $10 a month. He's got like 40 going.
Oh my God, so many. But anyway, stop wasting money on things you don't use, and that's where you do get stuck there. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions. Go to rocketmoney.com/garden, rocketmoney.com/garden. Guys, we're moving on here. We talked about those questions with Tatum and Brown, and obviously the complacency, and I think it goes in there. Porzingis, I know we've talked about a bit, but I'll just throw one more question out at you as we kind of like look at a bunch of things they're entering camp. We talked about those open auditions for the 9th spot or the 10th spot. And again, once Porzingis is in there, you've got your 6, and then you've got your Hauser, and then you've got your Pritchard, and you're at 8, and then you've got your Luke, who's kind of locked in there as your 9, which means you're really only auditioning for like the 10th spot. But while Porzingis is gone, you'll be playing other people, which means obviously you could see a big or something there. But I do think you've got NBA talent here, and it is interesting. Are you not going to give your rookie a shot to play, your first-round pick, your first-round pick of the Brad Stevens era and Baylor Shireman? Are you not going to give Keita a chance to develop here and just kind of default to Luke because Bobby likes him and Joe feels safe with him? You got Lonnie Walker, who can do stuff, but again, we don't know exactly what he's going to be or if he's even going to make the team. Is there another wild card who might potentially pop in there and sneak some minutes out there? What do you think? Who can see? And then we talked about Jaden as well. Like, who can sneak in here?
Springer and Shireman are certainly the guys to watch early. They'll get opportunities in the preseason. They'll probably have some good reps at practice with the second unit. And when a guy goes down or a guy sits out, those are the next 2 guys you're probably looking at, because Shireman can maybe play a little 3-4 in a smaller lineup and rebounds well, which is the big thing. Because the more I think about it, John, I do think they're going to miss O'Shea just a little bit. He was so good on the boards. He was always that next guy who came right into the game.
I like the energy
someone
for
was
sure.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was pretty steady in what he did. Like, he could defend a wing. He could rebound. He had one of the top offensive rebounding rates in the league. And that's something Shireman can do. Athletically, is he able to keep up right away? He's obviously the complete opposite athletically of what O'Shea brought you there, but he brings shooting, which is so important. He didn't shoot great in summer league, so it's going to be that thing, John. Does he go through the Neesmith situation where he comes in, it's a short stint, there's 1-2 shots, he doesn't make them, and then he's out? That's going to be tough. And he'll have opportunities, I think, when they're shorthanded. But he's a guy that's going to be important, I think, because they need another wing who can help them play smaller, help them play with 3 wings. It can't always be double big. I know Joe loves double big just like Ime did, and I love double big too. But you got to have some variety for the matchups out there. So he should get opportunities early. And if you really want to go extra small, Springer's at least a guy who can guard up a position. I'm not super confident in him being able to fit in offensively with where his game's at on that end of the floor. But it's the last.
The problem is the shooting.
You can't shoot what he's made of.
You can't shoot. You can't play on this team. Not for extended periods of time. That's what killed Brissett. That's what kills. Killed.
They're going to have a center. They're going to have a 5 that's not going to be able to shoot.
For sure, you have to. You got to do that. But that's going to absolutely kill the vibes for anybody else trying to play, because you're not playing. You're never playing with 2 guys who can't shoot out there. They barely want one. And again, Luke as your third center coming in was fine. You could live with that. He's the only guy who played regular minutes last year that couldn't shoot.
And usually you have Horford next to him.
There's a version of Luke that used to shoot. Luke was once upon a time a stretch 4. I don't know why he doesn't shoot anymore. He's got a pretty good looking stroke, actually, but he's the only guy who doesn't pull it when he's open. Everyone else does. So I don't know. I think it's got to be Shireman. I think he wants the shooters. I don't know how anybody else gets regular minutes if they can't stroke it.
So I think it's probably Shireman, obviously, and he's a rookie, so it's not going to be big minutes, but I think he's going to get an opportunity. I think everybody likes the idea of Springer, but I can't say that I've been impressed by anything I've seen so far. So he's going to have to show me something before I pick him. Can somebody explain to me, somebody who's smarter than me, which there are many, what's the Lonnie Walker situation? Why would he be cut? I'm sure there's a very easy answer that I just haven't done enough research to find, but the easy answer is Lonnie Walker, because
Forgot about Jordan Walsh here too from Ben. Ben, aren't you guys on the air? I thought they just did a show. First to the floor. If you didn't catch their show live, or you did and you're hopping over here, or you didn't know they did it, watch it. That's going to be on CLNS later as well, as far as their YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Why wouldn't it be Lonnie Walker? I watched Lonnie Walker torch the Celtics at one point. So
I think everybody did. I think that's why everyone's so excited about him. We're going to do this thing again, right? There's guys who people love with the name and all that. I don't think he's a phenomenal player. Every team around the league could have given him a minimum, and they didn't.
Yeah, there's
So-
obviously something there that's keeping people away, and there's a reason why he's got a contract that they can bail out of.
So here's the thing, right? You got a guy. I'm going to go back to Cornette, right? You signed Cornette for a minor league deal, and I said that was a steal. You have him on this minor league deal right now where it's like, all right, will he go to Maine for a couple months? And you effectively have him for free at that point, and then later in the year, you can call him up if it's going well. That'd be amazing, because here's the deal right now. There's no minutes for him. He's a guy who doesn't defend, so I don't think that's going to endear him to Joe playing him a ton. And if you sign him, it's $10 million in tax. So that's why he's not signed full-time effectively. And he's bounced around a little bit, and there's some other stuff, but you don't want to sign a guy on day one who's never going to play and isn't a slam dunk to make the team. So he was willing to sign a training camp deal here. I don't know if he's willing to go to Maine. It'd be great if he was, but anyone can grab him at this point. So everyone's been doing backflips about this for 3 weeks now, and I get it because it's the only thing going on. He's got a pretty good name. And like Jimmy said, he torched the Celtics at one point. He had that game against Golden State with the Lakers. But he really hasn't been a consistent, effective player so far in his career. And, we're 6 years into it at this point. So it's tough. He's had a lot of stuff go on, and he's bounced around, and that goes, guys go through it with stuff sometimes in the league. And sometimes you just need to take a step back and say, all right, how am I going to become the player who can impact a team like the Celtics or whoever it might end up being? And I actually think that's going to be a pretty cool story to track this year if he's willing to embrace that. But I would not expect him to be a guy who's in their rotation, at least in the first half next year. I think it's going to take some time. He might end up being a project.
He's a guy that can easily come off the bench, and he's done it for most of his career, so it shouldn't be a problem. And he can give you 10, 12 points, and he can play.
But do they need that?
We're talking about
who doesn't need 10, 12 points off the bench?
Bobby, have you seen this bench?
But you're going to put the ball in his hands.
We're talking about Jordan Clark, Jalen Springer.
Who? Who's Clark?
Jordan Wall. Sorry, we're talking about Jordan Wall. You know what I mean.
Like,
we're talking about guys who we just talked about the fact.
I'm so glad O'Shea is gone because I would have called him Jacoby for a whole other year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But let's stop acting like this is a one. Let's stop acting like this is a 1 through 12 set team. There are going to be opportunities for a guy honestly, just like him to be able to contribute, Bobby. A role coming off the bench, a guy who's accepted that role of his career. He's a former first-round pick. It's not like he came out of nowhere. And yeah, maybe it took him a little bit longer. He's only 25 years old. It's not like he's this journeyman who's, on the other side of 30 now and is just trying to hang on. I mean, he's a guy that they can turn to in a situation, especially if we're talking about resting guys throughout the course of the season. He should be a guy they could actually lean on, who has real NBA experience and can come in and contribute. So that's why I think that he should make the team.
They obviously like something about him. There was a lot of buzz around them trading for him at the deadline, and he did have good numbers in Brooklyn last year. But I think what you should be excited about is the chance that you can mold him into a more effective player over a long period of time. Because again, we keep talking about maybe like second draft guys that you can reshape. It's not a great comparison because they're two completely different players. But Cornette was one guy to start his career. He spends that year in Maine. He completely changes his game. And then 2 years later, you have a backup big, a third center who's really effective and ended up playing playoff minutes for you. So if Walker, again, I wouldn't have big expectations from him this year, but if he's willing to play in Maine a little bit, change his game, hone in on defense, because I just think there's holes in his game.
Yeah, but you're not, again, Bobby, I think you're judging him on the standard of like a starter. You're talking about your 10th man. Like everybody's 10th man has holes
He's
in their game.
probably
Like,
better than most 10th.
didn't we go over this last year? Like, how many people have a 10th man like that's good, like that doesn't have warts? Like, you need specialists, and like, you want guys who can come in and do certain things well. Like, if they could do all of it well, they wouldn't be signing, section, what are they called? What are these 10 what's it called?
10.
Exhibit 10 contracts. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, and
He's
I
a
get
guy.
that.
He's a first round pick. He's just outside of a lottery pick. Like, he's a guy with a pedigree, a guy with offensive skills. Like, you just take
that
the
was 6
good
years ago,
of
John.
Lonnie Walker and you live with everything else.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago. He's on his 4th team in 4 years. I think that says something. He's not even a minimum guy now. He's an Exhibit 10 guy.
That makes you think that there's something else there.
Yeah.
Right.
So especially coming off a year where he shot so well. So I don't know. Is it habits?
He's on the Nets. He's on a rebuilding team. Like, I wouldn't.
There's got to be something out there that there's like, yeah, I'm just gonna pass. Because like, again, it is the Nets and they weren't doing anything great. But you're talking about a guy who, again, as Bobby said, shot it pretty well last year, 38%, from 3 on 5 attempts a game. That's good. I mean, he's shot, that's just what he does. He's a guy who scored, averaged double digits plus over the last, in 20 plus minutes a game. I mean, that's who he is. It's bench buckets.
I was just surprised, and I'm still surprised because I think there's still some people out there that think this. He's not going to vault over Pritchard. Pritchard was so good last year. Teams couldn't pick on him defensively. He really formed a nice, consistent role in this team. And I don't know what it is. It's because he scores a lot of points sometimes, I guess, that people get excited about this guy. And yeah, he can shoot a little bit. It's not a great career percentage from 3, and a lot of it's off the dribble. So that opportunity just isn't there on this team. So if he's able to find another team that's going to give him that opportunity, I'm sure he'll leap at it. But if he's able to be patient here and work his way up, because right now, let's just face it, John, we know what Joe prioritizes. Smart, consistent defenders. He's not that. In fact, he rated as one of the worst defenders in the league last year. And guys who can play a role in this offense. And in Brooklyn, he had a ton of ball time, a ton of opportunity, and he's just not going to have that here. So if he is signed to a real deal off the bat, and maybe that'll be smart so you can keep him. Who are you going to get that's better than Lonnie Walker at that spot? I think that's
you're talking about your 10th. We're going to start making
guy effectively.
Your 15th guy if he makes the team as your 15th guy,
Right.
but you're talking about he's vying for 10th man minutes. Like, it's not. You're not giving him a lot of responsibility here if he does play.
No, but you also don't want him just sitting around, never playing ever, and then have fans.
Look at it. You've got your core
2
9,
years
and
with
then
Derek
you've got Tillman, Shireman, Lonnie Walker. If he makes the team, Springer. You've got guys that like might kind of be wondering, like, why shouldn't I be? Everybody kind of sucks it up for a year. Tillman gets here, happy to be here. I'll do whatever. Springer again, he's a project, a guy you're looking for.
Even Walsh had to go to Maine for a year.
I think Walsh. I'm really not bullish on him, man. I think that
It was a rough summer.
I think that experiment's almost over. He might have been vaulted by JD in terms of how the organization views these guys. So again, 2nd round picks, they are what they are. They're not supposed to.
I remember draft night. I had like one slightly critical tweet about like the draft and how lame it was, and people were like, "You don't know Jordan Walsh, man. Like, you don't know ball and all this stuff." It's like, let's just let
everyone buys in immediately, and I'm excited about Shireman.
The one place, Jimmy, you can always feel best that you're going to the percentages are heavily in your favor to win the argument is trash every 2nd round pick, because
I'm not even trash.
What I'm saying is every NBA fan, not just Celtics fan, is going to tell you why it's a steal. I really like this guy and he could be good. And none of them are good. None of them. Like 1 a year, 2 a year. Like, so you're going to win that one. I would stick to your guns there, on the 2nd rounders. You can, no ball or not no ball. And Jimmy, you weren't mad at the player. You were mad that they kept trading down.
Trading back. That's exactly what it was. And then everyone.
Because you can't do that and say we got our guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. I was like, wow. It would have been cool to act. What I said was this. It would have been nice if there was a player that they actually liked when it was their turn to pick. And it was like, you don't know ball, man. I was like,
okay. And that's what happened this year, right? So that's exciting, is that they got a guy that not only they targeted this year, but that they had in the building 2 years ago when he went through the draft process the first time. So I'm excited about Sharman. I don't know if he's going to be a slam dunk right off the bat, but he'll have opportunities. And I think he has a nice skill set. I said it on draft night, John. Usually you get a shooter and it's just a shooter. There's nothing else there. But he rebounds. His passing is just dazzling to watch. And he made up for all the bad shooting at Summer League by making so many great plays with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about him.
That's who you want to see, and I want to see Keita because I think
he needs opportunity,
the athletic skill set, the athletic ability there, and and again, it's nothing against Luke, who I actually really do like, but you want to see a higher ceiling, and if Keita might have it, but you don't know if he'll ever reach it. We're gonna wrap our Celtics talk, but we are gonna come back, and do more stuff on offseason questions, and as we said, we're getting really, really close to the beginning of the season and media day, which should be a ton of fun. We're going to quickly get everybody's thoughts here on the Patriots week 1 win over the Bengals. Bobby Manning had the time of his life watching this game.
Bobby said it was a top 5 win in the Patriots organization.
Yeah, no, it was Celtics championship.
We all know where we were the night.
Patriots, Seahawks.
You just went into this game saying they're going to get destroyed. Camp was awful. Everyone stinks. They're playing the quarterback who wasn't as good as the other guy. And you're playing this team that has been really good in different spots. Went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So you're just going into this game thinking it's going to be a disaster. And for it to go as well as it did, but also for them to execute so methodically, make some big plays on defense, actually look like a great defense, as I know Taylor's been yelling from the mountains over on the Patriots side of things here. It just makes you think that maybe they can actually compete a little bit this season. Because what are we talking about, John, going in? 2-15, tank, worst team in the league, just throwing this year away. And so you hear all that going in, and I'm not paying too close attention to camp and what's going on and all that. And then to just come out and do this, it blew me away. Because when have you ever had such low expectations for them compared to what it actually ended up being?
Last year.
Last year.
No, last year was a disaster.
I had zero expectations last year.
I'm saying you come in with no expectations, and then they actually surprise you and play great. That's why I was so thrilled.
Not really. Maybe Mac's first year. I don't know. Well, they weren't great though. They just snuck into the playoffs and got smoked. Bobby, do you want to finish your thoughts? Or
no, I'm good.
Yeah. So my thoughts is this. First, I'm going to say right off the bat, and I've said it on this show. Huge Mayo guy. So I am very happy.
He's the biggest winner out of this week.
He got the win, and he maybe silenced some of the haters, and of which there are many. I'm looking at one to my left, my far left, who is very quiet right now.
I was dubious.
Because Mayo proved, and this is Mayo just proved that he's capable of the job. And what I knew about Mayo is that the players would love playing for Mayo. And it sounds like, and it appears that they do. So that's not going to be a problem. And it's actually huge to have a coach that players want to play for. I think that used to be Belichick for a long, long, long time. I also think towards the end of his career, guys just didn't want to play for him anymore. I think he was just too stuck in his ways. He kind of lost touch a little bit. And I think players, younger guys, could not connect with him to the point where they just did. There are still some that would, but I think majority, it was not as enticing as it used to be. And they wouldn't put up with the same way they put up with it when Brady was quarterbacking. So that's a side note to that. But I think Mayo is a very much a player's coach. So that's that. Patriots win. That was a surprise. The way they won, couldn't have drawn up a more boring game plan. Maybe that's going to be the only way they win this year. I think opponents now have something to look at and say, okay, Well, the only way they can win that game is by running the ball. And to their credit, give Stevenson credit and those guys at the line. The O-line played better than anyone thought they would. They ran the ball. What they call it? Ran it to the hill or ran it over the hill. I don't know what they were saying, but they did it. Let's see if they can continue to win one-dimensionally, because I do not trust the passing game in any capacity. So at some point, the Pats are going to take their licks, and they're not obviously good. You got the win. Maybe they can sneak out a couple this year and just have a bad enough draft pick where they can't get a franchise-altering player. If that's what you want, Bobby, then you might just be in luck.
Yeah. Take them to the hill is the rallying cry, which is we're in better shape than you guys are. And you like that. So again, and
they did. Give them
I'll
credit.
say, again, not a Mayo hater. Actually, like I said, I got to know him a little bit. We worked with him. He was working at NBC. He's a really good guy, a really funny, dynamic.
He was working as like a business. He was working in like, he was
like a businessman.
Business classes.
Yeah, he's like taking business classes, but he was doing quick slants, and he's all over the place. And he'd hold court. He was a riot. He's a really funny dude, super engaging. But he's
smart.
He's all over the place.
They used to call him a mini Belichick.
Yeah. So the some of the things which may or may not have mattered much, were a little head scratching, but some of that was like, the public handling of the quarterback stuff, and then just watching them play a little sloppy, seeing penalties and this and that. So there was definitely like the player's manager and the run through the wall stuff really only works if the guy knows what he's doing. And if he doesn't, you're just like, oh shit, so unequivocally, I think Mayo showed in week 1 that they have a plan. The players listened to it, they executed it, and they played a professional football game. That's no question about it. So huge win for Mayo, huge win for the players who had to eat shit all last year. And it probably had to be a really, really, really miserable experience going out there, not just losing, but playing for that, playing for joyless Belichick and whatever kind of heavy air was all around Foxborough last year with all the stuff that was going on and Mac being there and this and that. It had to suck,
Mac,
in 100 different ways. So this was a professional football game. That being said, all it did is distract us from the major storyline of this season, which is, can we get Drake May the frick in the game and start seeing whether or not there is a future? Because I don't give a crap about a 16-10 win over the Bengals. It's nice. That's great. Not playing for wins. You're playing to see whether or not.
But they're not gonna, John.
Drake May.
Did you see Caleb Williams?
That matters. That's the point, Bobby. Rookies are supposed to be bad. Is Caleb Williams' career over because he had a bad game? Because that's what we're talking about with Drake May. That the helicopter parenting going on around Drake May is, if he goes out and struggles and the O-line is bad and he can't read the defense, he'll be broken forever. That's not how it works. Weak people are broken. Strong people, who we're told Drake May is, battle through it and take their lumps. Peyton Manning threw 28 friggin' interceptions his rookie year. You're supposed to suck as a rookie.
I couldn't disagree with you on this more.
CJ Stroud goes out. He's like the first guy ever who like breaks the mold, and everyone thinks that's what rookies do. No, what Caleb Williams did is what rookies do. They flail around and they don't have a clue what they're doing, and they can't read defenses, and everything's really fast, and they get sped up, and then eventually they get better. But you just got to get him in the game at some point, because 120 yards passing, my man, is not getting it done. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. Drake May could run week 1 offense. It was very, very simple.
But the culture win is good. You didn't want. It is bad if May goes out there
1,000%,
and it's hopeless.
1,000%.
But I don't think it will be. I actually think May is going to do things for you that Brissett is absolutely physically not capable of doing. And so I think he'll push that ball downfield a little bit. He'll be able to take advantage of some things that he can't. He'll scramble his way out of trouble. And when he can't see stuff or he does something stupid, he can make off-platform throws and so you get a little Wild West with some shit and you make stuff happen. And that's what rookies often do. So that's fine, but it's like, let's get there sooner than later. That's all I want.
Fine, sooner than later.
Let's get to May.
What's sooner than later too? Because I'll say this. They're gonna ride with Brissett right now.
That was my biggest fear, is that they win a couple.
With Brissett. You can tell that they're rallying behind Brissett. You can tell that May and Brissett have a good relationship. And to that comment, it's good for the culture right now to keep Brissett in there, because there's no animosity. There's no drama when your rookie quarterback is watching on the sidelines, because historically, and again, I know like the higher up you get picked, the less likely you are to ride the bench all year. But typically rookies do watch from the sidelines more often than not. And so, yeah, if Brissett sucked and they were losing games and they start the season 0-5, makes all the sense in the world to say, all right, you know what? Season's toast. We gotta change the locker room. You know, no one likes losing. But if they can eke out a couple wins, and if the guys like playing behind Brissett, I think for the culture, it makes more sense to keep him in the game, get May his reps wherever you can. And at some point during the season, yes, I think you will turn it over to May. But if the Patriots hang around, it's probably going to be one of those situations where it's like once they're eliminated from contention type deal, they might do it, and that's how they can justify it and things like that. But I think they want to ride. They want to ride with Brissett. The guys on the offense at least seem to be cool with him. And just watching the press conferences, you can actually see a happier locker room. Yeah, and I know it's week one, right?
They needed it. It was good for them.
That was the other half.
Again,
Yeah,
I don't care.
So great.
Meaning, like, only if you're a Patriots fan, only one thing matters: can Drake May play? Is Drake May your franchise quarterback? Nothing else matters. That's what you have to discern at some point. You may not actually get that full answer here. You don't want to be in Daniel Jones land where you're like, I don't think he's the guy, but let's give him another year. You want to see that promise, and you want to see him get out there, and you want to see him make his mistakes. And I don't give a crap about wins and losses, but also, yeah, you don't want it to be a total freaking shit show. But I'm not worried about the things people are supposedly worried about, which is it's going to break his brain. They've made it clear that one of the reasons they drafted him is exactly because he's not that kind of guy. He takes his mistakes, he learns from them, he's tough, he just bounces back and he does his thing. So I don't think that that's a concern. And I don't think the offensive line's going to look. The offensive line's not good, but I don't think he's going to get killed any worse than a lot of other rookie quarterbacks who are athletic behind not great offensive lines as well. And there's a few out there too. So it's life of a rookie quarterback. You usually play them. You don't sit them out to try to win games. You're trying to get them acclimated. I want to see it happen sooner than later. But again, I agree on the good win. I agree on the culture thing. I think it'll turn really fast.
You can't be like a Browns organization for like 5 years where you
don't want to you don't want to be stuck there, and you want to push it too far. But anyway, that's it for that. And as we said, it's a Celtics show. We went a little long on our Pats Minute, but we got a game this weekend. Make sure you check it out. Taylor Kyles, Mike Cadlick, and the entire crew will be there for the Patriots.
Happy for those guys.
Yeah, better for Taylor. He almost quit in year one. But as we said, you want to get in on the tickets, download that Game Time app, create an account, check it out, see what seats are available. Code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And you want to get in on some other action, daily fantasy style. Go to Prize Picks, play 5, get $50 instantly when you download the app and use that code CLNS. Super important that you do use that code. That's how they know that we sent you. We also mentioned Rocket Money. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/garden. Trust me, you have way, 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 way more than you think. And Nutrafol, if you've got thinning hair, and you want to take care of that, and I think you definitely should look into it, go to Nutrafol and Nutrafol.com. Use that code GARDEN and $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping. And as always, subscribe to CLNS Media on YouTube, both here and our All Access channels. And shop the merch, my friends. It's not technically summer, but we still got this code running, right, Jimmy?
We still have the code running. It is actually technically summer. It's not. It doesn't feel like it anymore. Right. It's technically summer. We got some stuff that we're going to be cooking up. It's been a quiet off season for the merch store, but we're going to be ramping things up. Basketball's right around the corner. We're still looking for a Patriots item. So if you guys have any ideas out there, hit me up. We're looking to add a Patriots item, like a shirt of some kind, to the store. Get creative though.
You could do a little Mayo thing.
Do a Mayo
So
thing.
you gotta be excited until May plays. That's what you're excited about.
I just don't know.
May watch, Jimmy.
It's got to be May type thing. Yeah, May watch. I got you.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm not sure what we'd put for. Can we put a lifeguard on there?
I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, check out the merch store. Jimmy's always got something cooking. Bobby's wheels are spinning as well. We'll have some good stuff heading into the season. But again, thank you guys for hanging out. We do appreciate it as always. Sleepy off-season night here, but things are going to ramp up fast. And
are we sending Bobby to Abu Dhabi?
We're thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah, we are.
I need Abu Dhabi Bobby.
That's their T-shirt right there.
That's the T-shirt. I need it like I need air to breathe. It would
Abu Dhabi Bobby.
We need that so badly. Are you gonna? And he's got to be decked out. He's got to go the whole 9 yards when he's there.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research. I don't know what you wear at Abu Dhabi, but
you're gonna find out. And you can't do anything wrong there. If you do anything wrong there, like you're in big trouble.
Yeah,
big trouble.
They're gonna
leave the drugs in the States is what I'm trying to say, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. Anyway, Abu Dhabi. I love it.
Abu Dhabi.
That's great. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Thank you for hanging out. Jimmy Toscano, John Zannis, Bobby Manning. Peace. We'll talk to you guys later.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Horford's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.